Finally, we are less than a week away from one of the best cards of the year, UFC 281. I cannot believe Dana White decided to put this card only 2 weeks after UFC 280. That's such a blessing to the MMA community. But today, I'm not here to discuss the two title fights. Rather, I want to talk about the guaranteed most entertaining fight of the card, Michael Chandler versus Dustin Poirier. For some reason, I never put these two fighters up against each other in my mind by any means. Maybe due to Dustin's resume and his legacy in the UFC just being so much greater than Chandler's. Then after watching Michael Chandler a few times, I quickly fell in love with his charisma and fighting style. However, I believe this fight against Dustin Poirier will be Chandler's biggest challenge. As usual, we will be breaking down 4 different aspects of both fighters and see who would have the upper hand. First, striking. I have heard so many times that people believe Dustin is going to destroy Chandler on the feet. I don't know if I would agree with that. It looks to me like Dustin is more of a volume striker, whereas Chandler is more of a knockout artist with dynamite in his hands. In the past, we have seen Dustin getting knocked out by Michael Johnson and stunned by Conor McGregor, which I would categorize both of them as explosive strikers. Though Dustin has evolved into a complete package, it is very difficult to guarantee that he won't get hit by one of those big shots from Chandler. If Dustin does get hit clean like Dan Hooker did, it might be game over for him. However, as I said, Dustin is now a complete package on the feet and has been tested by multiple champions. And the way he pressures you onto the fence and puts those combos on you is just relentless. And we see Chandler getting dropped every single fight in the UFC, even by Tony Ferguson. I would not be surprised at all if Dustin keeps that forward momentum on him from the beginning to the end and eventually puts him on the ground. Especially with Dustin's counter-striking ability and killer instinct. Chandler needs to be extremely cautious of what he throws because otherwise it will be a short night for him. With those being said, I'm giving Dustin a 6-4 on the feet. Second, grappling. I believe the ground game is where Chandler has an edge over Poirier. In Chandler's career in Bellator, he has 6 wins that came from submission, including a fight against the former UFC and Bellator lightweight champion, Eddie Alvarez, which at the time seemed invincible. Though it was a long time ago, Chandler has only improved since. Also, Chandler does not seem to be afraid to bring the fight to the ground, whereas Dustin is often hesitant when his opponents have a better grappling resume than him on paper. Despite being a BJJ black belt, Dustin rarely brings the fight to the ground. He only does it to those who he surely knows he can out-grapple. Though we can say that this is because Dustin is a good strategist, I don't see Dustin bringing Chandler to the ground by any means. And the fight against Charles Oliveira is when I believe Chandler's ground game is largely underrated. In the first round of that fight, Oliveira has got to his back with a nasty body lock when both of them are dry. And somehow Chandler can escape that with his raw strength and take over the round. And I think that just blows my mind. I think Chandler would definitely look for opportunities to level change. And if he does at the correct time, I believe he will give Poirier a lot of trouble. So I'm giving Chandler 6-4 on grappling. Third, cardio. Cardio is a crucial aspect of this fight. And if this fight is 5 rounds, I will most certainly side with Dustin. And I believe the longer the fight goes, the more I will favor Dustin. Nevertheless, in their recent fights, both of them seem to slow down when confronting obstacles. In the Justin Gaethje fight, we saw Chandler slow down significantly after the second round. And in the fight against Charles Oliveira, we see Poirier slows down his offensive movements in the third round, which led to having his back taken. But if I were to only speak from experience of watching them, Poirier has shown himself as someone who came with superior gas tank most of the time. So I'm giving this one to Poirier, 5.5 to 4.5. Fourth, mindset. Mindset is another part I found a huge discrepancy between these two fighters. Poirier has been portrayed as this disciplined family man who does all the right things to reach the top, though Chandler has also claimed that he thinks being a champion is more important than anything. However, the way they fight is drastically different. Chandler normally goes in there trying to rip your head off in the first 30 seconds, not worrying too much about the later rounds, and focusing only on putting a good show to the fans. And if the opponent is too tough to finish, Chandler will slow down a bit and think about changing his gameplay, such as implementing some takedowns. Michael Chandler is the type of guy who would rather have an entertaining fight and lose than have a boring fight and win. Such as the Justin Gaethje fight, Chandler literally raised his hands in the middle of the fight, trying to cheer the crowd up when he's getting clipped by Justin. I would not be surprised at all if he does the same in this fight against Poirier. However, Poirier, on the other hand, does not care too much about impressing the crowds, which I think will benefit him the most in the fight. Concentrates on striking fundamentals and just puts that Poirier pressure on you. So I'm gonna give Poirier a 5.5 to 4.5. At the end of the day, I want Chandler to win because I think his style will be a better matchup against the current champion Islam Makhachev than Poirier. No disrespect to Poirier, but we all knew how well Poirier deals with grapplers now. I don't think anyone wants to see him get submitted once again. However, my brain tells me Dustin would come out MSG victorious. I'm predicting a third round knockout for Poirier. Alright, that's everything for this breakdown and prediction. If you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to this channel for more UFC content. I will also be posting reaction videos to some fights from UFC 281. Thank you guys for watching and see you next time. Peace.